Have you ever seen those movies where scientists mess around in labs and accidentally unleash some kind of crazy disaster? Me too. But what if I told you there are real-life stories, not quite as Hollywood, but just as spooky, where science experiments went way off the rails? We're not talking about a forgotten Bunsen burner or a minor explosion, although those can be scary too. Nope. We're venturing into territory where things got seriously messed up, with some experiments coming dangerously close to starting a full-blown zombie apocalypse. Think about it. Streets crawling with the undead, your neighbor's poodle chasing you for brains. Gross. And having to explain to your mom why the basement smells like a rotten egg factory again. Okay. Maybe not quite that bad, but definitely close enough to send shivers down your spine. Now, before you start prepping your bomb shelter and stocking up on Twinkies, let's dive into the wild world of these near-apocalyptic science experiments. Now, number 7 on our list is glowing shrooms and the flesh-craving curse. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, a team of researchers stumbled upon a hidden network of caves, pulsating with an eerie bioluminescence. Forget fireflies, these caverns glowed with an otherworldly light, emanating from a strange species of mushroom. Nicknamed Eternal Luminous Flora for its captivating glow, the researchers were enthralled. But little did they know, these mushrooms held a dark secret within their luminous caps. The researchers, fueled by scientific curiosity and a touch of ambition, decided to study the mushroom's properties. Extracts were created, hoping to unlock the secrets of the bioluminescence. One particular test subject, a lab assistant named Mark, volunteered to ingest a small, diluted sample. At first, nothing seemed amiss. Mark reported feeling a surge of energy and a peculiar tingling sensation. But as night fell, a strange hunger gnawed at him. It wasn't your average craving for pizza or chips. No, this hunger was primal, an insatiable urge for flesh. Mark, driven by this bizarre compulsion, stumbled out of his apartment building, drawn by a faint scent of, well, let's just say your neighbor's poodle wouldn't have been safe that night. Thankfully, security footage captured the incident, and a quick-thinking security guard subdued Mark before things got too gruesome. Investigations revealed a horrifying truth. The bioluminescent mushrooms contained a previously unknown neurotoxin. So, next time you see a glowing mushroom in the woods, maybe just admire it from afar. You never know what kind of midnight snack cravings it might induce. Coming on to number 6 on our list is reanimating Rover, the case of the super hungry hamster. Ever lose a beloved pet? The pain can be unbearable, but what if science offered a glimmer of hope, a chance to bring back your furry friend? That's exactly what a team of young, ambitious scientists thought they could achieve. Their project, reanimation using bioelectrical stimulation. Their test subject? A hamster named Rover, who unfortunately met his demise after escaping his exercise wheel. The team, fueled by grief and a dash of recklessness, hooked Rover up to their experimental machine. After a series of sparks and zaps, Rover's tiny body twitched. He was alive. Sort of. Rover's initial movements were sluggish, but as the days passed, a horrifying change became apparent. His once friendly brown eyes glowed with an unnatural hunger. His tiny teeth, previously used for gnawing on sunflower seeds, seemed sharper, more menacing. The once playful hamster became obsessed with one thing, food. And by food, we don't mean his usual hamster mix. The lab became a scene of chaos as Rover, fueled by an insatiable appetite, attempted to chomp on anything he could find. Lab equipment, test tubes, even the shoelaces of a terrified research assistant. Thankfully, the team managed to subdue the super hungry hamster before things got too out of hand. Coming on to number 5, Super Soldier. Serum gone wrong. Ever dreamt of creating the ultimate soldier, someone strong, resilient, and fiercely loyal? Yeah, the military has that same dream. In one such experiment, a team of scientists concocted a potent serum they dubbed Project Titan. This serum promised to enhance human strength, speed, and healing abilities. But as with most military projects, things didn't exactly go according to plan. The first test subjects, a group of burly volunteers, were injected with the serum. Initially, the results seemed promising. The soldiers' physical strength skyrocketed. They could run for miles without breaking a sweat, and injuries healed at an alarming rate. But euphoria quickly turned to horror. The enhanced soldiers, their minds seemingly warped by the serum, became consumed by one thing: fighting. They brawled amongst themselves. The lab transformed into a scene of muscle-bound mayhem. But their aggression wasn't limited to each other. Driven by a primal urge, the super soldiers lunged at anyone who entered the lab, their focus shifting from becoming the ultimate soldiers to becoming, well, the ultimate flesh eaters. Thankfully, the lab was built with security protocols in mind. The super soldiers were subdued, and the project was permanently scrapped. Maybe next time, the military should stick to training and good old-fashioned physical fitness. Unless, of course, they fancy an army of brain-eating bodybuilders. Coming on to number 4, when T-Rex became a flesh-craving foodie. Remember those movies where scientists bring dinosaurs back to life? Yeah, this isn't quite like that. But it involves a T-Rex, a secret government lab, and a near-apocalyptic hunger for, well, anything remotely meaty. Deep beneath a seemingly unremarkable mountain range, a team of government-funded scientists were working on a project so top secret it would make your head spin. Their goal? Not to clone dinosaurs, but to extract dinosaur DNA and use it for creating genetically enhanced attack dogs. Let's just say the government had some unconventional ideas for national security. Their test subject? A tiny sample of Tyrannosaurus Rex DNA, painstakingly extracted from a fossilized bone fragment. Using cutting-edge technology and maybe a little bit of mad science, the researchers managed to create a, well, not exactly a T-Rex, but a scaled-down, feathered version of the prehistoric predator. Think turkey-sized terror instead of skyscraper-sized stomper. Initially, the feathered T-Rex replica, affectionately nicknamed Tiny Rex, seemed manageable. He, or maybe she, who knows, was fed a carefully curated diet of specially formulated protein shakes, because apparently even government scientists can't resist a cute baby dinosaur. But then, one fateful day, a lab assistant accidentally spilled a container of raw meat scraps into Tiny Rex's enclosure. The little dinosaur, who'd never experienced the taste of real flesh, went berserk. Feathers bristled, tiny claws flashed, and that adorable chirp turned into a blood-curdling screech. The lab became a scene of feathered fury. Tiny Rex chasing anything that remotely resembled a protein bar or a terrified scientist. The project was scrapped, and Tiny Rex, after a mandatory anger management course, yes, you read that right, was relocated to a secure zoo with a very, very thick enclosure wall. Coming on to number 3, the whispering virus. Imagine a world ravaged by a relentless virus, not one that makes you sniffle and cough, but one that reanimates the dead with a taste for the living. Sounds like a zombie movie, right? Well, a team of scientists in a remote research facility came dangerously close to making that nightmare a reality. Their project, developing a cure for the common cold? Yes, you read that right. They were trying to create a vaccine that would eradicate the sniffles forever. But in their pursuit of a perfect solution, they stumbled upon something far more sinister. The scientists isolated a particular strain of the cold virus, believing it could hold the key to immunity. They tested it on lab mice, and the results were interesting. The mice recovered from the cold symptoms quickly, but something had changed. Their once bright eyes were vacant, their movements sluggish. Then, the unthinkable happened. One of the cured mice died, but its story didn't end there. It reanimated, its body twitching with a grotesque life. And guess what it craved? Not cheese, not sunflower seeds, but its fellow living mice. Panic erupted in the research facility. The scientists, realizing the horror they'd unleashed, scrambled to contain the outbreak. The lab was quarantined, the infected mice disposed of with extreme prejudice. The research was permanently shelved, replaced with a healthy dose of fear and a whole lot of hand sanitizer. This near apocalypse served as a chilling reminder. Sometimes the cure can be worse than the disease. And messing with viruses, even the seemingly harmless ones, can unlock doors we don't want to open. Coming on to number 2, bringing back Mr. Henderson. Ever wonder if you could bring someone back from the dead? Scientists on a project called Lazarus thought they cracked the code. Their goal? To revive people who just kicked the bucket. Kind of like a life after death button, but in a science lab. Their test subject? A friendly lab assistant named Mr. Henderson, who unfortunately had a heart attack. The scientists hooked him up to a fancy machine and injected a special chemical concoction. Basically, science magic. And guess what? It worked. Mr. Henderson's heart started beating again, his eyes opened, and the scientists were ecstatic. High fives all around. But hold on, things took a creepy turn real fast. Mr. Henderson woke up with a look of pure hunger in his eyes, not the kind of hunger for breakfast cereal. He spoke in a raspy voice, not his usual friendly greeting. This wasn't quite the same Mr. Henderson. Something had changed. Turns out, bringing him back came with a nasty side effect. A serious craving for flesh. Before you could say zombie apocalypse, Mr. Henderson lunged at the nearest scientist, surprising everyone with his sudden burst of strength. Dead people shouldn't be that strong, right? The lab turned into a scene of panic as scientists scrambled to stop their reanimated colleague. Thankfully, they managed to restrain Mr. Henderson. But this close call sent shivers down everyone's spine. Maybe messing with death isn't such a good idea after all. Project Lazarus was shut down faster than you can say undead lab assistant. Coming on to number 1, the mind control parasite. Imagine a world where mind control isn't science fiction, but a creepy science experiment gone wrong. That's exactly what a team of researchers almost achieved with their project. A microscopic parasite that could manipulate the behavior of living creatures. Their test subject? Not some scary lab rat, but something much cuter, a fluffy white bunny, named Fluffy. The scientists implanted the mind control parasite into Fluffy's brain, hoping to use it to control his movements and maybe even learn more about animal behavior. At first, things seemed promising. Fluffy would hop to the scientist's commands, even perform little tricks. It was adorable. But then, one day, something went terribly wrong. Fluffy's once bright eyes turned cloudy and vacant. His cute little twitchy nose started sniffing the air with a newfound urgency. And what was he sniffing for? Well, let's just say the terrified scientists weren't on the menu. The mind control parasite, it seemed, had a side effect no one anticipated. It fueled an insatiable hunger for flesh. Fluffy, the once docile bunny, became a furry nightmare, hopping around the lab with a single-minded purpose: to find a juicy snack, preferably not a carrot. This near disaster served as a stark reminder. Messing with the minds of living creatures, even the cute and fluffy ones, can have horrifying consequences. All right, that's all for today, guys. But next time you see a glowing mushroom or a lab full of fluffy bunnies, maybe take a step back. Let us know in the comments which near miss freaked you out the most, and hit that like button and subscribe for more crazy videos.